We're here on page 2 of your notes looking at different types of neurons. And the top one we see is a multipolar. A multipolar neuron is the most common type of neuron. And the reason it's called multipolar is because it has many of these dendrites exiting the cell body. Many different projections coming out of the cell body. So multipolar, many projections. All of your motor neurons are multipolar, and your interneurons are multipolar. That's the neuron between the motor and the sensory neuron. Okay. Below that, you have a bipolar neuron. Remember, the prefix bi means two, like bicycle. The bipolar neuron has two processes or two projections coming out of the cell body. So bipolar, two processes. Remember, processes were those sticky outy things coming out of bones, where there are also sticky outy things coming out of nerves too. These bipolar neurons are actually rare in adults. But we do have them in our eyes and our nose and any sensory processing receptors. Then finally, we have our unipolar neuron. Remember, unipolar means one. So there's only one process right here. One process extending from the cell body. I'm going to abbreviate cell body CB. These are mainly in your peripheral nervous system. They might be the dorsal root ganglia of the spinal cord. And that will mean more on the next chapter. Or they might be sensory ganglia. Sensory ganglia of the cranial nerves. All right, so we have multipolar with many processes exiting the cell body, bipolar, two processes, which is pretty rare. It's really in our sensory receptors. And then unipolar, which has one process coming out of the cell body. Now, what parts of these receive information, what process send, what parts carry? So here, all of this, let me make that bigger. All of this part, all of this, and all of this. All that yellow part this actually receives the trigger. This receives the stimulus. RECEI. Okay, so the yellow part receives the stimulus. The get a different color. How about pink? This part right here, all of this, all of this, or all of this, that is responsible for carrying the message. Okay. Alright, so that's responsible for carrying the message. And then this part right here, or this little part right there, or this little part right there, that is responsible for sending the message. So it makes sense here with the sensory processing receptors. You have a big area that picks up the stimulus. Here in our spinal cord and our cranial nerves, we have just a little bit of area that picks up the stimulus. Okay. All three pretty much have an equal amount of area that sends the message on. So multipolar, bipolar, unipolar neurons, different types of neurons in our nervous system.